Narrator. Hello and a very exhilarating welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. Remember that profound moment when the world seemed to expand and the promise of ultimate freedom beckoned from behind the wheel? Or perhaps you're currently in the thrilling, sometimes nerve-wracking phase of mastering the road. Learning to drive is more than just acquiring a skill. It's a rite of passage, a gateway to independence, and a fundamental life competence in many parts of the world. It transforms how we commute, how we explore, and how we connect with opportunities. Yet, the journey from novice to confident driver is paved with a unique set of challenges. Understanding complex rules, developing keen spatial awareness, managing unexpected situations, and perhaps most crucially, conquering those initial jitters. But what if we could approach this transformative experience with greater clarity, patience, and strategic insight? Today, we're not just recalling driving lessons. We're breaking down the essential steps, common hurdles, and psychological shifts involved in becoming a safe and proficient driver. Prepare for a highly relatable and practical conversation between Clara, an experienced driving instructor, and Ben, a determined learner driver embarking on this exciting new chapter. Their dialogue will not only enrich your English comprehension and vocabulary related to driving and personal development but also equip you with valuable perspectives and actionable advice to navigate your own path to the open road with confidence and competence. So, fasten your seatbelt, focus your mind, and let's embark on this essential journey of mastering the art of driving. Clara, Ben, it's great to have you starting your lessons with us. Learning to drive is such a significant milestone for many people. What are your initial feelings or perhaps your biggest anxieties as you begin this process? Ben, Clara, thank you. I'm excited, definitely, but also pretty nervous. My biggest anxiety is probably the sheer responsibility, controlling a machine that powerful, and the idea of being out there on the road with so much traffic. It just feels like a massive leap. Also, figuring out all the rules, signs, and simultaneous actions, steering, pedals, mirrors, seems incredibly complex. Where does a complete beginner even start to build confidence when it feels so overwhelming? Clara, your feelings are completely normal, Ben. Every single confident driver started exactly where you are with those same apprehensions. My first piece of advice is to break it down into manageable chunks. Don't try to master everything at once. We'll start with the absolute basics in a controlled environment. Think of it as learning individual notes before playing a symphony. Focus on one skill at a time, understanding the accelerator and brake, then steering, then checking mirrors. Confidence comes from small, successful repetitions. Secondly, patience is paramount, especially with yourself. Everyone learns at their own pace. What's your experience been so far with learning complex new skills? Ben, that's reassuring. I've learned other complex skills like playing an instrument, and breaking it down definitely helps. The simultaneous coordination is what really seems daunting. How do you even begin to integrate all those actions smoothly? Clara, excellent analogy with the instrument. It's very similar. That seamless integration comes with practice and muscle memory. We start in a quiet area, often an empty parking lot. We'll focus first on car control, getting a feel for the pedals, how gentle you need to be with the accelerator for smooth acceleration, and how to apply the brake progressively for a gentle stop. Then we add steering, focusing on smooth, controlled turns. Only once those individual elements become second nature will we gradually introduce more complex scenarios, like managing intersections or changing lanes. It's like building blocks. Each fundamental skill becomes a solid base for the next. Do you have any experience with stick shift or automatic? Ben, I'll be learning on an automatic, which I hear simplifies things a bit by taking away the clutch. What about the theoretical knowledge, road signs, rules, right-of-way? How crucial is it to master that before even touching the wheel, and what are the best ways to study? Clara, learning the theory, the rules of the road is absolutely crucial, Ben, and ideally you should be studying that alongside your practical lessons, if not before. It provides the context for everything you'll do behind the wheel. You need to understand what signs mean, when to yield, speed limits, and legal requirements. The best ways to study are by reading your local driver's handbook thoroughly, utilizing online practice tests, and using driving theory apps. Many of these apps simulate the actual theory test, which helps immensely. The more familiar you are with the rules, the safer and more confident you'll feel on the road, because you'll anticipate situations better. Do you have a copy of the handbook yet? Ben: Yes, I've got the handbook and started looking at some apps. There's so much information to absorb. What are some of the most challenging aspects for new drivers once they move beyond the parking lot and onto public roads? Managing traffic maybe? Clara: Traffic management is definitely one. Another significant challenge is spatial awareness. Truly understanding the dimensions of your vehicle and its position relative to other cars, curbs, and obstacles. This develops with experience. Then there's anticipation and hazard perception, learning to read the road ahead, spotting potential dangers and reacting proactively rather than reactively. This includes anticipating what other drivers might do. And finally, mirror usage and blind spot checks become critical. It's a lot of information processing, which is why we practice in less congested areas first, gradually increasing complexity. What do you think will be your biggest challenge on the open road? Ben: I think anticipating other drivers will be my biggest challenge. Seems like everyone has their own style. What about dealing with unexpected situations or mistakes, like stalling if it were a manual, or taking a wrong turn? How do you maintain composure and recover? Clara: Great question, and it speaks to resilience behind the wheel. Mistakes are inevitable, Ben, especially as a learner. The key is to remain calm and recover safely. If you take a wrong turn, the most important thing is not to panic or make sudden, dangerous maneuvers. Safely find a place to pull over, reassess, and then use your GPS or map to find an alternative route. If something unexpected happens, like another driver makes an erratic move, focus on controlling your vehicle safely, brake, steer, signal as appropriate. We'll practice defensive driving techniques extensively. The goal is to build your muscle memory for safe reactions so you don't freeze under pressure. Have you thought about how you typically handle high-pressure situations? Ben: I usually try to stay calm and think logically, but driving feels like a different kind of pressure with immediate consequences. What about parallel parking or navigating tight spaces? Those maneuvers seem particularly tricky and anxiety-inducing. Clara: They certainly can be, Ben, and they're often where many learners feel the most frustration. However, parallel parking and navigating tight spaces are essentially a series of controlled, precise maneuvers, broken down into steps. It's less about raw talent and more about understanding the geometry of the car and using your mirrors effectively. We teach specific reference points and mirror checks for these situations. It's like following a recipe. When you execute each step precisely, the outcome is successful. It requires patience and repetition, but once you master the technique, it feels incredibly empowering. We'll spend dedicated time on these, ensuring you feel confident before your test. Do you find you have good spatial awareness in general? Ben: I think I have decent spatial awareness, but translating that to a car will be the trick. What about driving in different conditions, rain, night, or even on highways? How does one prepare for those more advanced scenarios? Clara: Preparation for varied conditions is crucial, Ben. We gradually introduce these elements once you've mastered the basics. Driving in rain requires reduced speed, increased following distance, and understanding how to use your wipers and headlights effectively. Night driving necessitates being extra vigilant due to reduced visibility, managing glare from oncoming headlights, and using your high beams appropriately. Highway driving involves understanding merging, maintaining consistent speed, and managing lane changes at higher speeds. We'll typically practice these with reduced traffic initially, building up to busier times. The core principles of anticipation and defensive driving apply even more rigorously in these advanced scenarios. Have you done much driving as a passenger in varied conditions, observing what's involved? Ben: I have, and I've noticed how different it feels. Looks like a whole new layer of complexity. What about the importance of practice outside of formal lessons? How much supervised practice should I aim for, and what kind of situations should I focus on? Clara: Supervised practice outside of formal lessons is absolutely invaluable, Ben. It reinforces what we cover in lessons and allows you to gain real-world experience. I recommend aiming for at least 20 to 30 hours of supervised practice between lessons if possible. Focus on driving in varied but safe environments, quiet residential streets, then slightly busier roads, then eventually highways. Practice maneuvers we covered like three-point turns or parallel parking repeatedly. Have your supervisor give you constructive feedback. The more diverse your practice scenarios, the more adaptable and confident you'll become. What are your plans for getting extra practice? Ben, my parent is willing to supervise me, which is great. I'll definitely take your advice on varied scenarios. What about managing distractions in the car, like passengers, music, or even GPS? They seem like they could easily pull focus. Clara, distractions are a significant risk factor, Ben, and managing them is a crucial skill for safe driving. As a new driver, your focus needs to be almost entirely on the road. Initially, I'd recommend keeping passengers to a minimum and asking them to keep conversations light or silent. Keep music at a low volume or even off until you feel very comfortable. Program your GPS before you start driving, or have a passenger handle it. Resist the urge to check your phone. It's both dangerous and illegal in many places. As you gain experience, you'll develop the capacity to filter out minor distractions, but always prioritize the primary task: driving safely. What do you think might be your biggest potential distraction? Ben, probably the GPS, honestly, trying to glance at it while navigating. I'll definitely program it beforehand. What about the driving test itself? Feels like the ultimate pressure point. Any tips for approaching it with the right mindset? Clara, the driving test is definitely a pressure point, Ben, but remember, it's simply a demonstration of the skills you've learned. My advice for the test is, treat it like any other lesson but with an examiner. Don't overthink it or let nerves overwhelm you. Focus on being calm, methodical, and demonstrating safe driving habits. Take deep breaths. Listen carefully to the examiner's instructions. If you make a minor mistake, don't dwell on it. Just correct it safely and move on. Examiners are looking for overall competence and safety, not perfection. The best preparation for the test is consistent, diligent practice. You've got this. Ben, that's a helpful perspective, treating it like another lesson. It makes it feel less like a high-stakes performance. Clara, this has been incredibly clarifying and genuinely inspiring. I feel much more prepared and less overwhelmed about the journey ahead. Clara, my pleasure, Ben. Remember, learning to drive is a process, a gradual accumulation of skills and confidence. Embrace each step, stay patient, and enjoy the journey to independence. Narrator. What a profoundly practical and encouraging conversation between Clara and Ben. They skillfully navigated the intricate journey of learning to drive, from demystifying initial anxieties to outlining the fundamental building blocks of car control, theoretical knowledge, and advanced road awareness. From mastering basic maneuvers and managing distractions to preparing for varied conditions and approaching the driving test with composure, their dialogue provided a comprehensive and compassionate roadmap for anyone aspiring to hit the open road. Their insights underscore that becoming a safe and proficient driver is not just about technique, but about cultivating patience, resilience, and unwavering focus. Now, let's briefly engage with some key ideas from their discussion. Practice session. 1. Initial challenge. What is one initial anxiety or challenge Ben mentioned about learning to drive? 2. Car control. Clara emphasizes car control as a starting point. What does this primarily involve? 3. Theory study. What are 2 effective ways to study the theoretical knowledge, rules of the road, signs? 4. Managing mistakes. According to Clara, what is the most important thing to do if you make a mistake or take a wrong turn while driving? Narrator. As Clara and Ben so expertly articulated, learning to drive is a transformative journey towards independence, demanding both meticulous practice and a resilient mindset. It is an intricate dance of theory and practical application, where every lesson, every mile, and every thoughtful decision contributes to your growing confidence and competence behind the wheel. By embracing patience, focusing on continuous learning, and prioritizing safety above all, you not only gain the freedom of mobility but also develop invaluable life skills. Remember, the open road awaits, and with diligent preparation, you are ready to navigate it with skill and assurance. Until our next illuminating discussion on the English Learning Podcast, Keep learning, keep practicing, and enjoy the ride.